God's sake, go, come on.
Do you ever get angry? I certainly do sometimes, particularly when I'm driving. But the thing is, anger has very powerful karmic consequences, and that's what this video today is all about. Okay, a bit more seriously, I'm going to talk a little bit about anger and what it means actually on a spiritual level, because a lot of people now follow things like yoga and the Vedic teachings and so on, and the whole idea of, particularly in yoga and Patanjali's form of yoga, is that yoga is a form of kind of it's a way of controlling the mind. It's a form of sense control ultimately, you know. I mean, you see a lot of crackpot stuff out there with yoga, with people doing all sorts of silly sensual stuff with yoga. It's all about feel-good factor, but ultimately it's about controlling the mind, controlling the senses, and being the master of yourself, because we are, all of us, the victim of our own egos most of the time. I mean, we fall for anger, don't we? We fall for it quite a lot of the time. We get angry for no apparent reason. Well, I do. I mean, I'm sure you do, but I do. I mean, particularly when I'm driving. Goodness. But anyway, anger, according to the Vedic teaching, anger is sort of the second of 6 kind of vices that inflict the mind and bind us as people to our egos, and also bind us, more importantly I feel, to our karma. The 5 are like desire, greed, attachment, pride, jealousy, and amongst those anger as well. So now if you think about it, anger brings bad words first and foremost, and really words are hugely powerful things that can destroy the whole world. Words could. I mean, if we use bad words to people, we can break a heart. and it's so easy to do, and fuel it with anger, and we can really destroy people. You can mend most of the physical things in the world. You can mend most of, you know, we can recast a broken iron bar, but we can't mend the damage that is done when we fall victim to anger. And you know, it's just like the fire of the funeral pyre can burn the body, but the fire of anger in the mind can burn our very mind itself, can destroy and burn ourselves, burn our soul. So it is a very powerful force, and I'm like many people. Well, I'm not so bad now, but I've had a propensity to become angry sometimes. I mean, funniest one, oh my god, Jane had laughed at this one. I just got so angry with a woman who refused to replace my cup of tea. I said, well, you can have it all back then, here it is, and I poured it all over her counter, you know. I thought afterwards, oh god, how childish, you know. But I'm probably worse than you are, but you know, when you go, you go. Now, so what happens, the thing is, what brought to mind the importance of this really for me is that when I had my nadis done again, I talk about this a lot, and I write about this in my book Messages from the Universe, and in Messages from the Universe I get a message through the nadis that told me that in previous life I was a Brahmin, I was a rishi, they called me, but my problem was, my fault was that I would get very angry with the people and chuck everybody out the temple. And I thought, God, I can imagine myself doing that. You know, I can imagine that I would, you know, throw everybody out because intolerance, you know, towards all these stupid people that are not being spiritual. You know, and of course you're the worst one yourself. So that kind of hit home for me, because the remedies I were given were based, a lot of them, upon being an angry man in a previous existence. And I thought, yeah, I can definitely feel it in this life too, because sometimes I can't know where it came from, you know. So anger fuels karma. Not the full force, but it's one of the forces that fuel karma. And other people's anger towards you, which is created when you create anger, also fuels you know, makes it worse on you. Their negative thoughts carry forward into this life. This is kind of the basis of the way I teach nowadays, that, you know, although I'm talking about afterlives and spirit world and all the general spiritualist things because my work as a medium, there's also this power of karma behind things, and that's something I like to address a lot in the work I do. So I think that it takes a lifetime to overcome these forces. Yoga, as I mentioned at the beginning, is one of those things about controlling the mind. So if you're an angry yogi, you've had it. If you're like Mr. Natural by Robert Crumb, you've had it. You know, you don't blow your top, you know, or you can at least begin to laugh about it, because know that it's not a good thing. It's like, it's part of the ego, right? And in order to get rid of that ego, we've got to smash it, and we've got to smash it like a coconut to get at the liquid inside, you know, the sweetness inside. So anger is binding us like the shell of a coconut. It's holding our soul back. So see it as a fault, because I often find I justify my anger. You know, I feel that, oh, yeah, I'm in the right, you know, these are people are idiots. Then, well, they might be fools, but you're a bigger fool yourself if you fall victim to that. So there's ways to stop anger. First of all, you've got to think about it. You've got to understand what the problem is, and really sometimes one of the best things to do is to change your diet sometimes, because a lot of the reasons we get angry are because we're putting too much meat into our bodies. I mean, I'm not saying you should all become vegetarians, I'm not, but often when we do that, we're bringing in negative fears that are drenched in that animal's flesh when we eat it. You know, it makes you think twice. And even the way a food is cooked by other people. I mean, if you're cooking the food and you're, oh, it's horrible, I'm sick of this, here's your laddie lunch, you know, you're eating all that, you know, you're taking that in, and that can come out in you in other forms. And also in this world, we live in a world which is full of frustrations, because you have to do job every day, we have to do this, and then we worry about money and bills and people and all these things, and frustrations build up in our lives where we're not happy with things, and all that built up energy can burst forth too. So we need to watch that. We don't want to set the whole forest on fire because we've had a few problems ourselves. And so it's good to take in what they call sattvic food, good food like fresh food, fresh apples and things like that. Things got a real life force in them, can help counter that thing. Also, if one does, you know, one of the good tips is if you drink cold liquids, cold water particularly, not beer, cold water, have a cold water, and that will cool the body down. And if you lie down, that will cool the system down. By drinking cold water, lying down, it can appease anger. You can't get angry when you're laying down. Cold drinks tend to stop it. So there's a couple of tips, but basically we've got to stop getting there in the first place, and we've got to get to the root of that. Realize that it's one of those infamous vices that hold the ego, that bind us to the ego and keep us from happiness and enlightenment, and destroy other people's. And that's why yoga, for example, is the control of the mind, and that's what we've got to do. We've got to control the mind so that we don't become victims of ourselves. There we go, thought for the day. And more in my book, of course, Mystic Journey to India, and in Messages from the Universe, I talk all about the karmic effects of these type of things, and how it's been proven to me through these oracles how the things you do in your past lives and the things you do in this lives are creating karmic influences for the future now and the future ahead, and the future of all of us. So this is an update about some of the things that have been happening to Jane and I. I mean, there's a lot been going on, but some of the things I think you might find interesting. We've been doing a lot of work with our foundation in the last month or so, giving some money to children in India. We've been feeding kids. These are the children that I originally worked with in my movie Mystic Journey to India, and the same place, we've sent some money over there so that they can be fed. And we've been giving some money to a holy man, the holy man that you also saw in Mystic Journey to India on Amazon Prime. If you go and watch it, if you've not seen it, of course, but you'll recognise him, the man with the strange man that lives in the fire, Maha Ananda Swami. Very interesting stuff. Also, been writing for Psychic News again. There should be an article in there this coming week, I think, about psychometry, how you can use psychometry, and a few unusual things about psychometry and how it works. So I think you find that quite interesting to look at. And Jane and I also be, I mean, coming up in the news, of course, we've got the Harry and Meghan wedding coming up, and Jane and I have been sort of talking about it, and I said to Jane, what do you think, what do you predict's going to happen with that? And although it's going to be a wonderful wedding, one of the thoughts that we had, and it would be interesting to see if we were picking up on this or it was just speculation from our point of view, but I don't know, you know, when mediums are talking together, things come out, and we both kind of thought, I mean, Jane came up with it originally, but we both kind of thought that maybe Meghan is possibly already pregnant, and if that's the case, there would be an announcement of a baby very soon after the wedding. And I think, well, Jane said this as well, but we think that maybe they'll change the dates and say, oh, the baby came early, you know. But, you know, let's see. I mean, that would be interesting, wouldn't it, to know what happened there. So lots coming up, lots of interesting things, and we'll keep it posted. All right, see you soon. Jane and I now do our spiritual work for our foundation. All the profits that come from things like our conferences and theatres and workshops and all those exciting things now go into this foundation, which ultimately has the long-term plan of building centres in the UK and maybe around the world one day. But meanwhile, we've been doing a lot of direct spiritual work with it. We've been going out, feeding people in India, giving to the destitute, giving to beggars. We've helped feed schools, helped orphanages, and we've even given cows to older people that have no other form of income. So mediumship can change your life, but it can also help people directly in the world. So go to the links at the end and find out all about what Jane and I are trying to do. And you can do a lot just by sharing these videos on social media. Help us get the word out. Help us to do something really good in this world. Click on this picture of me to subscribe to our channel and see all of our latest videos as soon as they're published. Or click on this next video for more of our stuff.